Is Pokemon anime?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's considered, yeah, I think so.
What is anime? Is it just a Japanese cartoon?
Anime is technically, I think, yeah.
Or does it have to have fantastical elements, like things that aren't technically real?
No, it can
no
be,
offense.
Yeah.
All right, welcome. Here we are. Rob, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me, man.
How's it going today?
Good, yeah.
Nice. You were talking about Crime Junkie before the show started.
Yeah.
This is going to be a Crime Junkie parody podcast
It
the whole
is.
time,
It is.
right?
Garage Junkies, yeah. But, we were talking about how you used to do the music in your podcast, right?
Yeah.
And then you asked me if I skipped through the music when I listened to podcasts.
I assume everyone did.
I feel like I remember Mark Maron, I would do that. I would skip his. I don't even remember. Does he have a theme song?
He also, similar to me, makes crappy guitar tracks of his own playing.
in at the beginning, or is it after he's speaking? Because I know he has a long monologue. Or I don't listen to the show at all anymore.
To my recollection, he uses interludes. He'll put different guitar pieces between the ad read, between his rant at the beginning, between the guest segment.
Okay, interesting.
So he also switches the pieces with his own music.
Because for him, it wasn't necessarily that I was skipping the music. I was just skipping his monologue. I didn't like that.
Well, that's the other thing is a lot of times the music is associated with when the bad part's over. You skip till you hear the music, the ad has been read, you can move on and actually get to the good part.
But yeah, I don't skip the music. Yeah. And then we were talking about Crime Junkies and how I only listen to that with my fiance Erica. And so I always give her a hard time because I'm just they have two hosts, right? These two women, and it's one of them is just the main host, best friend, it seems like, and she'll just ask the dumbest questions ever. And it's just she seems like a big waste of space. And that's why I really have an issue with that show. It's so-and-so was on their way to work that day, and then later they would be found dead. And wait, but where'd they work? It's that doesn't matter. What do you,
But that's the classic broadcasting trope, right? The person who keeps the train on the tracks, and then the person who does the color commentary.
True, but I feel usually that person who does that commentary is asking questions that the viewer might actually have.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
She seems too far off.
Yeah, or it's just and Erica will be oh, it seems it's just scripted. It seems they're just finding stuff for her to do, and she doesn't actually do anything, or she doesn't even know about the actual case. And I'm just this would be so much better if it was just the one person who actually knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I almost wonder how much the second person in those situations is playing a character or is trying to anticipate what the audience is thinking of, or
well, that's maybe what gets me mad is that she's trying and not doing a good job. But
because it becomes ridiculous after a while. Technically, if you keep doing a podcast over and over, you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
And you'll understand how the story is, especially a topic-based show crime. What is it, Crime Junkie?
Crime Junkies.
Okay.
I think Crime Junkies or Crime Junkie.
It's so hard to keep them together. There's My Favorite Murder, right? There's a million of them.
There's a lot. So it's funny because
you
you were
and
saying
Erica,
you don't like them, right?
No, I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. I never watched Law and Order. I'm not into the serial. I'm not into the murder mystery.
Okay.
I have enough terror in my life on a daily basis.
So I think I of course have listened to Serial, right? And I see what you're saying, right? Because I don't like hearing about the gory details of the murder or whatever. I just like hearing about oh, so and so says that they're innocent and this is where they were and blah blah blah, and just the connections and everything. But then some of them are just so bad that it's I can't listen to it. Just literally they'll do the role play or the reenactments, and it's oh, this lady went on a date with this man that she had just met and everything was going good, and he invited her back to their place, and then the reenactment is why don't we go back to my place? It's clearly he's trying to act deceptive and evil, and it's I can't.
Is it the same two hosts, or do they pay voice actors to?
Oh, this is different shows that I've heard in the past, and this and Crime Junkies they don't do. But yeah, it's different voices.
Do you listen to multiple crime shows with Erica?
We try. That's the point I guess I'm trying to make is that we've tried and we just can't. I think there's one other one that we found that was pretty decent, but. Then I'm just being picky, I guess. I think honestly that's what it boils down to. I'm very picky with my podcast.
I think you should be.
One that we listened to, it was pretty good content, but then it's every time they interview someone, it's literally them recording them off a fucking tape recorder or something, and it's you can hear all the background noise and it just sounds really fuzzy and just really low quality, and we're just you couldn't buy one microphone?
It's no good.
Come on.
if I've learned anything about like the video audio combination, it's that people will listen to something with good audio that has bad video, but if it has bad audio and good video, it doesn't matter. Like it's unlistenable, unwatchable, unconsumable. What is it like taking in this terrifying material with your fiance? Do you feel like it could be bringing you together, or she's looking at you going like, thank God we have each other? Or is it, do you think it's like imprinting like traumatizing events on your presence together? Like, because that's what I always wonder about this shit, is if it kind of brings a rain cloud that then doesn't really get cleared away.
Well, we sometimes joke around, like, you know, like, oh, now I know how to get rid of you if I ever want to, you know? But, like, no, I think...
I bet you're good at doing the voices of, like, you know, the fake murderer. Like, you can you can do the reenactments better.
That is, you know, sidebar, but that is something... I told my dad that recently. I was like, you know, because he likes watching anime, and that's how, like, at a young age, me and him like really bonded. We used to watch anime together.
Yeah.
And so I tell him about all these new shows, and then he likes to watch them in English, and I like to watch them in the original language, usually Japanese. And I was just like, sometimes in English, it's just like so cheesy. It's like, you know, the main character is like, whoa, like let's get out of here. You know, it's like clearly like a fake ass.
So
like,
good, man. That sounds so good. I'm sorry. I know it's supposed to be cheesy, but
yeah, but like
my ears did perk up a little when you did that.
Like I told my dad, I'm like, I think I would enjoy doing that. You know, like being a voice actor. You would be
so good at that.
You know,
I mean, you
like,
technically are right now. You're voice acting as we speak.
But like I was thinking about it, like the actual like really good. So you know, obviously in Japanese, it's just like, you know, I don't speak Japanese. Like I'm not around Japanese speakers a lot at all. You know, ever. Yeah. So I don't really know like what's a fake voice or not, unless it's like clearly over the top, like fake. You know. But sometimes, like, I feel like specifically in the Japanese versions, like I'll hear someone speaking and it sounds like it's an actual person's voice. Like they're not changing their voice at all. But what's good about it is that they're actually showing the emotion of the character. Okay. And so like they're literally like screaming, you know, and I imagine like somebody's like recording, but they're like standing far away from the mic, or maybe they're getting close, and they do a really good job of like, it's mic control, one. But then two, it's like they're just good at acting, you know what I mean? Or being like angry or being like intense, you know? In English, they don't have that.
I like watching in the original language because the sync actually is correct, right?
Yeah.
You don't have the funky mismatch, which you're constantly having to like ignore on some level.
Yeah.
So even though you do have to do the reading along with your version, it makes sense. When you watch with your dad, so what do? Do you make the concession and watch it in English, or do you make him read the whole time?
Because it's still fun. It's still fun to watch in English. Because I don't make him read it, because like even for me, like again, I feel like I'm not the best reader because I haven't been like reading and practicing those skills. But in the Japanese like versions, sometimes like in Japanese, the way you say certain things, it's just much shorter than what it would be in English.
Yeah.
Like in English, there's just so many more like predicates and just all these other stuff that like Japanese language just doesn't have. So like in Japanese, it'd be something that's like 3 seconds long, but the writing is like has to be 2 sentences. So they'll show it up for literally like 3 seconds, and it's like you can't really read all of that unless you're like speed reading. And at that point, it's like you know, I don't want him to just focus on the words and not the, you know, video.
That'd be a lot. Yeah.
Plus, it's fun for me to watch it in English too, and just see like how.
Let me ask you. I don't watch any anime. Do you find watching the English dub version that they use a lot of words over and over, or that there's like maybe a genre or show specific phrase that gets used a lot? Like in murder mysteries, you probably hear perpetrator a lot, right?
The perpetrator.
Or give me both. What are like some motifs in either murder or anime shows?
So I feel like I can't give you one of those, you know, but like I guess in Japanese it's like, you know, they say fool a lot in Japanese, like baka.
There you go.
You know, baka.
There you go.
You know, or like, and you know, like in Japanese, it's like, you know, it's not like English at all. Where like, so like that's I guess one in English, like especially I read manga, and in English, like sometimes when a character's mad, they'll just have in big, bold, all caps letters, you. And you know, to us, we're like, you know, okay, big fucking deal. But in Japanese, like they have different ways of saying you. Yeah. And typically, like, even if I were talking to you, again, I'm no expert, but like from what I've learned,
to me you are,
is that like if me and you are talking, like since we're really close, like I might say you, like, you know, in a way, But typically, like when you're talking to someone else and you're trying to be respectful, you'll just literally use their name. So I would be like, oh, is James going to the store later? Or is James going to go eat later? Or what is James up to tonight? But that's me talking to you. You know what I mean? But like, so in Japanese, if you say teme, that's like a really disrespectful way of saying you. But it's basically like, and in English, they'll translate it as like you asshole, you know, or like you bastard. So like they say that a lot, teme and like baka. You know?
Okay.
But yeah.
I just, I arming myself here with options, I still got a long life ahead of me. Know what to say to people. You fool. How to hit somewhere hurts.
But that's actually something too that I found interesting in Japanese and English. Like, I don't really know that many Japanese like curse words or anything, but in English they always translate it to like really bad words for us.
Oh, really?
But it's like it's supposed to be a kid's show. Like these anime shows, most of them are still for teenagers or children. But then it's like they're saying these Japanese words, but then it's like when they translate in English, they're like, you fuck, or something, or it's like, fuck you, it's like, wow, that's really bad, So I don't know if in Japanese they have like those degrees of like curse words, but that's just funny to me that like in literally a kid's like cartoon where they have fighting, but it's not like gory or anything. It is say like, fuck you or you asshole. It's like, wow.
How gory is the murder podcasts? How like is it family friendly? Because they're like the #1 podcast in the world.
Yeah, it's not.
So is this something you can put on in a Subaru, your Subaru perhaps, on a road trip with the family? Or do they talk about the sounds that like the knife is making in the flesh?
Yeah, no.
The gashing blade was like
the slushing blade. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
No, they don't really go into that detail, but they will, like talk about like a crime scene and like just that there was blood. I guess that's the worst part. Is like there's blood soaked into the carpet, like blood everywhere or whatever. But yeah, I mean that's a good thing. I don't think I would ever listen to like a crime podcast if I had kids like with them, unless they're like older or into that stuff.
Are you trying to scare them straight?
That's a red flag. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite episode? This is kind of funny. Like,
of the Crime Junkies?
Yeah. I know you...
Well, I guess not necessarily, but like I guess... I don't remember if this one... Because I think it was an episode on Crime Junkies, but then it had its own like separate podcast that went really deep into it. There was one about this father who like... It was strange, man. You could like, from the moment you heard his voice, like oh yeah, this guy's a fucking psychopath. He's a killer.
Can you do the voice?
Like... So he had like these diaries, like audio diaries that he would say. And he was like, well, I just really like her, and I think hopefully something's there. We can blossom, but I don't know. He just sounded like very much like this guy is like in a room by himself, like in his head, like really, putting out his thoughts, like in his feelings.
Troubles are brewing.
Yeah.
Troubles are brewing.
But basically,
if anyone sounds like that, run.
Yeah.
Now you know.
But like basically this guy, he met this woman. He was like a Christian or even Mormon, I think. I don't know if that's even, what's the hierarchy of religiousness?
They're
you
different.
Got your Christians. I feel like people would say Mormons are a little bit more,
in terms of
respectable than just your average regular Christian. But then who knows?
I could see like someone moves to Mormonism as a way to be like, I'm kicking the Christ stuff up a notch.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going Mormon.
Exactly.
I'm going full Mormon. It's more of like a lifestyle. They have a certain dress.
Yeah. It's the turbo of religion. Yeah.
They proselytize to different people.
Yeah.
They do like actual field trips, We're Christians, it's like
home visits. Yeah.
We'll see you, on Easter, on some Sundays, whenever it's convenient for you.
Yeah.
Mormons definitely taking it up a notch.
For sure. Dress sharper too.
If there was a line into heaven, Mormons might be.
They would have their own VIP section. Yeah.
They would get like the Six Flags Great America.
Through the side door. Yeah. They have a wristband.
The guest pass. Yeah, they'd be able to jump a line.
But
just a little bit.
But so this guy, like, he was very religious. Went to like a religious like college and stuff, and basically, seems like a great guy, right? And then like the wife is like saying all of a sudden like, and again, there's no testimony from her at all. Or spoiler, she's dead. But basically this guy, like, he just started to be like very possessive and like violent. And also he would do things like where he would purposefully like drive and like get people to rear end him.
Ooh,
just
boy.
so like he could file money for like injuries, like, and stuff like that.
Ooh,
and insurance. Yeah.
Sick.
And then basically it turns out that like, he they think he killed his wife and drove up to this really remote part of where he lived and buried her in the snow. And like they have like, I guess, proof that like, yeah, the kids were woken up and taken and blah blah blah, all this evidence, but they can never find the body. And then later the kids were taken away from him, but then they went on a visit to him. He burned the house down with the kids and him inside of it.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. So sorry to get dark.
It seems biblical. No, I just realized I should have been asking like those stupid questions you were saying were annoying throughout that whole thing. Like,
oh yeah. Well, wait, what kind of car did they have?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we don't have to keep it so dark. I mean, the show is good for that. I was just curious, like, what even stands out amongst listening to those episodes, you know? Like, this one seems pretty rich because they had, like, audio material from the guy, which, like, definitely ripe for a spinoff.
Oh, dude, this was the best part of it. This is a little more levity, you know? His father, this guy's father was also, like, a fucking creep and, like, scumbag. But, like, he would write music and he would write songs and he would sing on them. Horrible voice, comically like.
Let's hear it,
bad,
please.
And then I can't do it. I can't.
Did they play his audio?
They played it on there.
Oh, come on! You gotta try it. You gotta try it. I'll even beatbox or whatever.
What? Give me like a line that I could say. Like, let's say
I'm driving up to heaven. I got a place to be.
I'm driving up to heaven. I've got a place to be. Something like
sort
that,
of like
you know what
choral,
I mean? Like, yeah, but like
churchy,
kind of like off, you know. And like, but the point is, he was like in love with his son's wife, whom the son allegedly murdered.
Oh God!
And had her sing on the songs with him, and she sang on it.
No, okay.
Pretty good voice. But it was just
she was good. Can you do her now?
No, I can't do that. That's too high. Yeah.
I want you to jump in.
Sound like Eddie Vedder. Yeah.
I was just trying to do your impression of the dad, but you know, it's got to work on it. That's okay. So that's rich. They're putting out MP3s. I mean, they were.
Yeah, dude, it was fucking crazy.
They had a SoundCloud. This sounds like a rich mind.
Yeah.
What else about that show though? You mentioned the co-host is spoiling things a little bit.
Yeah, you know, she just seems like an idiot. I'll just say that she just seems like.
How does the original host handle it? How does the point person take this? Are they like inviting it, or are they like,
yeah, oh yeah,
let me finish the story?
No. It's all invited. It's all welcome. She never berates her or anything. I think they're like legitimately best friends. They're best friends since childhood, and that's why I think I get upset because it seems like it's like, oh yeah, you want to be on my podcast? Sure, okay, and then she doesn't add any value, but because they're friends, she's gonna keep being on it. Yeah. Maybe that's their fans, just like besties all around America who love listening because they love their friendship.
I want to be more open to it because I have talked a lot of shit about murder mystery style stuff in the past. And I understand, you know, there's a reason this is so popular, right? You can't be dismissive of something that's like the number one leading thing.
Well, I was going to ask, like, movies, field. Like, you like, what is it, American Psycho, right? With Christian Bale?
I don't know. What do you mean? I like that.
I thought you liked that movie. I remember we watched it.
We watched it in college together. That's like maybe what your memory is.
I remember we watched it and you were like, that's so me. That's so
what
me.
The fuck?
I'm kidding.
That's great. No, it's just because I have a business card business and I sell linen business cards.
Eggshell white, yeah.
I remember joking around with Arpit a lot in college. Like, we watched it, I think, before... We were 18, we were 20, 21, whatever it was. But still, I think you should be like 25 before you watch that movie. Because there's certain things in that, it doesn't make sense.
I see what you're saying.
When you're a young person, and it's just like, what is happening here?
Yeah. Even that scene with the cards, you know? I feel like that, if you're really young, you're like, what? So what about the cards?
It's odd. I mean, I guess maybe... 20-year-old guy, you know, you're at that point, maybe you're trying to put a spoiler on your car or a big muffler or something. There's ways in which you try to peacock. But just, I just remember mainly laughing about, like, those sex scenes where he's, like, looking in the mirror and, like, you know, flexing his bicep and stuff. Just as a 20-year-old guy, it's, like, the funniest shit in the world.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And that dude, he's scary, like Christian Bale. Like, in real life, I bet he's, like...
In terms of dark movies, I like Stanley Kubrick movies, which can be pretty effed up.
Right.
But even
like
my
Clockwork
favorite
Orange, right?
That's like one of my least favorite, even though like I like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I guess because I'm saying that one shocked me. That's like I don't like that movie.
It's upsetting. It's extremely upsetting. Yeah. No, that's it's not my key. Mm-hmm. Not my key. I like minor key music, to speak of keys specifically. But no, it's just a lot to handle. Like, my genre is comedy.
Is there a like murder movie though that you do like, or that you thought was like, oh, this is just so good that like?
I mean, my favorite movie for a while when I was younger, probably the age we were watching American Psycho when we were 20, was The Departed.
Oh, okay.
Which
right.
The Departed is like The Murdered.
True.
Technically, right?
Yeah.
And there's like,
but I guess I
love The
saying.
Sopranos.
Yeah.
Sopranos is giant and like it's organized crime.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite scenes in that are like Tony with Melfi, right? Or Tony with
absolutely.
his daughter, or something, like some funny stuff that happens. Not
or
necessarily
Michael Imperioli, yeah.
When they're putting slugs in a rat. To use a little industry jargon, you know, when they're pumping some slugs into someone.
At first, for like a split second, I was just like, wait, was there a scene with rats that they were shooting? I was like, oh, got it.
He's a rat. Jimmy's a rat. Spoilers. If you haven't watched The Sopranos, watch The Sopranos. I'm not going to get into that now, but...
Yeah, we could, that's like a whole nother 5 podcasts that we could do on that.
Speaking of 5 podcasts, we should do a podcast that's like a murder podcast, but it's just about murders on The Sopranos.
Murder?
You know what I mean?
Like,
dude, that'd be cool. My favorite murder. But
yeah, that'd be cool.
We talk about Sopranos hits.
Reenact them.
Greatest hits. What could be called greatest hits?
Greatest hits, yeah.
Let me ask you a little bit more about anime.
Okay. So all ears.
Because you're a connoisseur, man. You know,
I love
manga,
it.
The actual books. Did your dad have a favorite anime show? I'm curious what an older generation would be into more.
I think he would say, well, because when I was a kid, I think the reason why I got into anime is because he had like an old VHS tape of an anime called Ghost in the Shell. And that one's about like a cyborg who like works for the police or the government, and it's just like they have invisibility or camouflage powers, whatever, and like I think like a gun coming out of their arm or some shit like that, or but it was like a sci-fi like anime, and so I think he kind of liked stuff like that. He was like because I think back then like you had to go to stores to get it, and it wasn't very like popular. So it wasn't available everywhere, and so really the only like anime they had was like adult like anime, where it's like more violent, more like there's nudity, sometimes even sex, like there's a Ninja Scroll, that one's like pretty violent and they show like sex scenes in it.
Really?
Yeah. Like very, very short.
How old were you when you were watching this? Trying to get your dad locked up for watching hentai with you when you were 8 years old or something.
I don't remember, but I think those I actually, because what I'm saying is like I didn't see the movies themselves. I just saw the tapes that he had. I was like, oh, cool, and then I think because in Ghost in the Shell, there's no sex in that one. But then I think I was like maybe 12, like young, when I saw the Ninja Scroll. And then, I just been like, oh, okay. And it's like pretty intense too, because they're like doing it doggy style, It's like, okay, and it's like no, there's no point for this to be happening, but all right,
squirrel style.
Yeah.
Yes,
but I would say I think
this is your dad's favorite anime. You were saying.
I think he would say Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that we really got into, and just lately I've been showing him all the other ones. But yeah, that was like the main one that we watched because again we had to buy the tapes.
What counts as anime? Is Pokemon anime?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's considered, I think so.
What is anime? Is it just a Japanese cartoon?
Anime is technically, I think, yeah.
Or does it have to have fantastical elements, like things that aren't technically real?
No. It
no offense. No offense.
No, they have like what's it called? Slice of life anime, where it's like that's more like realistic, like real things that happen, and there's no like fantasy elements to it.
Gary,
show
called Gary.
Which that just like kind of like baffles me a little bit. Actually, speaking of that though, like I have an app on my iPad and on my phone. It's the Shonen Jump app, which is like the main magazine in Japan that prints or publishes all the manga. And I started reading this one because usually I'm like such a like boy, where I only like the fighting ones, or like where it's action, But then there's this one that's like, I guess it's like a slice of life one. It's like about this girl who wants to become like a Japanese storyteller. I forget what the actual word for it, like Rakugoka or something like that. But it's like the art of like traditional like Japanese storytelling, where it's like one person and they just like tell this traditional story and they might put their own twist on it and they act like the certain characters, whatever. And I really enjoy that one, which is interesting to me. I didn't think I would be into it.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty
kind
cool,
of meta,
pretty funny.
Storytelling about storytelling.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. I'm a sucker for stuff like that.
But you, I was gonna say too. I think technically, any cartoon is anime, but traditionally,
Simpsons anime.
Like but like I think traditionally, anime is supposed to be. So it's supposed to be Japanese animation.
Because I was going to ask you, like, what the most popular anime in the world was. You mentioned Dragon Balls, like that.
Oh yeah, I think actually there's
Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Balls Z. What is it?
Dragon Bolas. No, I'm kidding. It's Dragon Ball. Technically, is
when I said Dragon Balls, it didn't sound right. It sounds like I'm bringing up.
Well, you just said the Z real quick. No, I'm kidding. Right. So technically, Dragon Ball started out just Dragon Ball. So it's about this character who, as a boy, right, goes on these adventures, fights all these evil people, and then grows up to be a man, right? That whole story is Dragon Ball. But in America, they broke it up as Dragon Ball when he's a kid and then Dragon Ball Z when he's an adult. I don't really know why. I think maybe just because in America they wanted to market it as like another new show to get people more involved,
Yeah.
But then,
market research too. They finally throw Z on there. It makes it seem like it's got some specialness.
Because I think in Japan it's just Dragon Ball,
Dragon Ball was the only anime you mentioned VHSs. I got a VHS, I want to say a Blockbuster, way back in the day.
Of Dragon Ball.
Tried to watch it because I'm like, people seem to like this. I remember there was a really popular PlayStation 1 game.
Oh, right.
It would basically was Mortal Kombat with
Piccolo.
That's
like lame,
yeah. The Dragon Ball characters. But I just never really caught on. I never got there. I don't know.
And I guess
I was an ignorant American, frankly, at the time, where like I couldn't handle the dubbing and all that.
I see what you're saying.
But I did like Pokemon before this, cool. So like I think there was some seed, but
because it's funny, I don't really like Pokemon that much. Like I watched it, of course, as a kid, collected all the cards and all that. But I don't know. I think maybe, like I said, I just do like action, specifically martial arts, or like I haven't really watched Gundam Wing. There's a show called Gundam Wing, but it's like about people in like robot fighter suits, whatever. Just like guns and explosions, stuff like that.
Is this pre or post Avatar?
Pre. Yeah.
So James Cameron stole the robot fighting suit.
He did, that motherfucker. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But I was gonna say, I think the most popular like Japanese anime cartoon is this show called Cased Clothes. I think it's called Adventures of Conan or something. It's about this like boy detective or something. And I remember me and my brother actually used to watch a lot of it as a kid because they would finally started to air some of it like Sunday mornings or something like that. But I think that's like the most popular like show.
I've never heard of it.
It has like over 1,000, like, because there's a show One Piece that has over 1,000 episodes, but I think this show Case Closed has way more than that.
1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
Wow. Are they all 20 minutes? Is like that format?
Yeah.
Or do any do the whole 45-minute thing?
No.
That's
usually
asking a lot for
minutes.
Animation. I know it's extremely expensive to produce animation.
And even like sometimes like specifically with that show One Piece, it's kind of bullshit. They'll have like an episode, right? And then the next episode, like a third of it is like a recap of what you just saw. You know what I mean? And again, it's marketed to be watched every week, so that's why. But still, it's like, so really a lot of times the episodes are like 12 minutes long.
I see. So 12 minutes of original content.
Yeah.
Smart though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure.
We should end the podcast now, and I should just use 12 minutes of, or like a bunch of footage from your last one, like splice in all these things.
Oh my god! Actually, it was funny. I was gonna ask. Not that it really matters. Like, I'm gonna go check back to what I probably. I told you that before. I'm like, I keep wearing the same clothes over and over.
Well, that's a good thing.
That would be funny to like if I've worn this shirt before to like show other footage.
God, dude. I mean, we haven't shot in the garage since before the pandemic started. Which is unbelievable to think about. But we did our last episodes outdoors.
Yeah.
We were doing them outside.
It's funny. This is how conceited I am. I think I remember exactly what I was wearing for the outdoor one. Once I wore the TMNT track jacket. Yeah. Then I wore this blue like pullover.
Pullover, that's in the morning one.
And then in here I wore my gray TMNT sweater. And then my Adidas jacket, I think, that I got in SF that time we visited Jess.
That sounds exactly right.
Yeah.
That's not, no, you're just being considerate, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to think about the brand for me, obviously.
Maybe next time we'll do full suit.
Yeah.
Or maybe just half,
We look like a Swedish and Mexican Lex Friedman. You know that guy?
Lex Friedman?
He's a YouTuber. No, anyway. he wears a suit for every episode, but he looks like he's like, 25 years old or something.
Okay, right.
So it's probably, honestly, a good thing. Like, you're not used to seeing young people looking nice.
I was just going to say that, that is
Probably
a little like, like if you see a kid like in a blazer and tie or something, you're just kind of like serial killer. No,
he kind of gives us vibes too because he's super serious and talks like in a very monotone and undisturbed fashion. Or extremely disturbed.
He's not never mind. He's not, never mind.
He's actually half Ukrainian, half Russian, I believe, which is
You're serious?
Tough. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm joking, but he's been like commenting on the escalation. And he claims he was claiming he was going to interview Putin. He's trying to get Putin on his podcast. And he's got a pretty big podcast. He's been on Rogan and all that.
Does he have a good theme song? No, I'm kidding. Does he actually have music?
He does not do a theme song.
Cool.
I believe, yeah. Which, we were talking about that earlier. It's just something. I feel like that's going to keep changing trends, whatever. It's kind of old legacy media. It's old world. I learned too. Like I talked about how I always wanted to skip theme songs, and I realized, why am I even doing theme music on this if I want to skip them, right? Like
that's funny.
Yeah. The one way I was combating it before was I was just doing different theme songs every time. So I was trying to bring something new to the table.
Right.
I did like how it kind of surprised the guest. It was kind of like a gift.
Yeah.
I'm kind of entertaining you, right?
Yeah,
when I'm playing a new.
I was very entertained by it. I loved it. Yeah.
But then, I learned I was trying to do too many things in the podcast.
Okay.
Like I was trying to insert music and these different elements, again, of the old legacy media format, when really, to me, podcasting is all about the talking.
Right. Keep it simple, stupid,
KISS, yes.
But I was going to ask, so like, you say because I would think you would like to listen to the theme songs, right? Just, because you love music and like just to...
I do though, but when I want music, I'll put on...
I see what you're saying, yeah. You're not listening to it for the music.
Yeah. Cool. In that moment, I want the connection, the discussion.
Because I guess what I'm saying too, for me, it's like, I think I listen to the theme song. So Crime Junkies, right? I just said I don't really like that podcast. 50-50, I guess. But I do like the theme song. But I think what it is that like for Comedy Bang Bang, Conan, I just like it gets me like it's almost like Pavlov's dog, I hear the song, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna listen to Comedy Bang Bang now, or Conan, he's gonna be hilarious for an hour.
Okay, that's the only thing actually that makes me regret not having one, is it does prime you for that moment.
Yeah.
Like it almost like is like reminding you, okay, get ready to spend some time with your podcast friend here. It gets your body ready. Pavlov's dog, that's perfect. You start verbally salivating, right? Or it stimulates
I get excited,
your eardrum, your ear follicle, something in there.
Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about too. I'm kind of inconsiderate. I'll listen to Comedy Bang Bang specifically, like in the morning. Like off of my Bluetooth speaker, and it's like Comedy Bang Bang, Comedy Bang Bang, Comedy, like but blasting. And Erica's like sometimes like, oh my God, like can you please like not do that while I'm here? And I'm just like my poor neighbors, but like it gets me fucking pumped,
Dude, the Comedy Bang Bang theme is so good. Reggie Watts.
Yeah.
And he actually for a while he had done like every big podcaster's theme music.
You made it weird, right?
Right.
That's the only other one I know of, but I'm sure he's done other ones too.
This is probably antiquated now because now there's like different. I mentioned like Friedman people that don't even have theme music, but like in I guess podcasting 1.0,
right?
Which I don't know if it'd be 2010 to 2020. He did like a lot of the big ones. I don't know. Did he do Nerdist or he must have done some of them, right? Like
I'm sure he did, but again, I'm not well versed with podcasts. Yeah.
Do you know? Are there any anime podcasts?
I swear I thought somebody told me recently that there is an anime podcast.
I mean, there must be.
There has to be.
When can we start yours?
Let's start it. Yeah, let's do it.
You do perk up though. It's like it is something that you clearly love and care about, and it's wonderful when you have an outlet to crystallize your thoughts on how you even feel about it. Right? It kind of takes your fandom to the next level.
Absolutely. Well, because I was gonna say, I think earlier you were talking about how you tried to watch Dragon Ball, you didn't really like it, right? Like, I don't know. I love fantasy stuff, You know what I mean? And like I think specifically Dragon Ball, the reason this is like I think kind of a weird reason, but one reason why I liked it is that like it's like every character in there, there's like a turtle in there, a literal turtle that speaks, and everybody can understand it, and you know, and then there's like humanoid like pandas or wolves,
BoJack,
you know, and it's just it's just like that, you know. But then it's also like kind of cool the way like they'll show someone driving like kind of an old car, but then it's like, oh, then here's this like airplane that looks like a ship, or you know, it's just like really cool like fantasy elements that they're just really creative. But also Dragon Ball specifically has a good story. Like, you know, they have this one character that like they set him out for you to hate him, and then he ends up like sort of saving the world. You know, like helping the main protagonist like save the world.
Like
you know?
like a snake thing.
And they show him being like basically a coward and like a liar, but then in the end he really like steps up to like help and like save someone's life and then helps them save the world. You know, so
that's good, like a redeeming character arc type thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Yep.
If you had a podcast on anime, how would you do it? Could you think you would do it on a specific pod, or would you jump around maybe?
I think, you know...
Would you get into manga? Can you talk about manga? Is there like a way to talk about manga?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's less...
I think, one thing too that I like in anime, I love shows that like borderline make me cry. You know, and there have been some shows that I'm just like, oh wow, that's so touching. You know,
you said you were such a guy though. You like the fighting.
That's what I'm saying. But like, you know, like that's like an anomaly, or you know, I'm like, I love fucking action and fighting and like just people like beating the shit out of each other, you know. But then I'm also like, yeah, that was a touching moment. I love that, you know, like because it makes it like more real as opposed to just some like, you know, cartoon with fighting with no meaning. You know what I mean?
I mentioned The Sopranos. I mean, yeah, I love the emotional appeal more than the gangster elements.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those things really work well together. Breaking Bad also is masterful in that.
But I guess what I'm saying too is that like I'm like it's like sometimes the cheesiest like basic things that I'm just like that's you know, but like
teardrop.
Yeah, it's I like those elements and of course it has to be funny. Like it has to be funny. So Dragon Ball is like kind of fun, you know. Earlier on, it's like comical and like goofy. I like stuff like that.
Would you ever try to make one?
You know, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I would love to do that. Specifically, I think I would love to just do a manga, you know, or a comic book. But like, I feel like that would take, because you know, like the creator of Dragon Ball, he's like such a good illustrator. You know, you could tell he's definitely got his 20,000 hours of practicing, you know, like even if, and you know, like a lot of anime and manga, like, you know, they're not like real looking people, you know, but like they add that depth and that, you know, shading or whatever perspective that makes it, you know, it's pretty good, you know.
He must have had 10,000 hours on hair alone, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I feel like it's got to help to have something that stands out about your franchise, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm joking on hair with Dragon Ball. That's like something that's like a brand recognition thing.
And it's funny, you know, I wonder if like, because, you know, his Dragon Ball came out in like 1984 or something like that, you know?
I didn't even know.
Yeah, in the 80s. And like, I don't really know what was happening before that. I know like there's this one called Lupin the Third that I think was out like in the 60s even, or, you know, early 70s. But I'm wondering if like he made that popular, because now in every like anime there's like the characters with the crazy hair, but I think his specifically is like the craziest. But like I always wonder about that, you know, because then it makes me think. I think I've said this to you before, but I like hope that I get to see this before I die. But I want to see a live action version of Dragon Ball using like the Marvel Universe like technology.
Ooh,
you know, like
it's got to be coming down the pipe,
like
right?
Come on, it has to, because on every Dragon Ball live action movie that they've tried to do, or any like anime live, it sucks. It's so awful. And I think it's probably because, like, no offense to, you know, Japan, but I don't think they have, you know, as good, I don't know, like I'm sure who owns Marvel? Is it Marvel their own thing, or is it like
it's what's Disney.
Disney, right?
Disney,
so they own that technology. I'm sure, right? And like
it does take a big investment, probably.
Yeah.
Is what this is getting at somewhat, because I mean, what are the post-production effects? Got to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars for some of that stuff. I mean, especially once they started getting more complicated and larger scale, like Avengers was, they were destroying whole cities.
Yeah.
Right? Like going to galaxies then. And they'll get there.
But that would be really cool, yeah.
As the tech gets better, that would be wonderful. If they finally put out a good anime movie.
But you were talking about if I wanted to do my own like comic or manga. I was thinking too, like maybe.
Have you already? I don't know if you've already. I've seen you like draw and do comic stuff, but I don't know if I've seen you like develop characters or like.
Yeah, not really, because I think my thing is like if I were to make a comic book, I would really want it to be like. The people in it don't look like us, at all, like but. Again, I have to work on my shading work, like make it look like they're real beings, you know what I mean? And like, so I just have to like practice and practice and practice. So part of me was like, hey, maybe it'd be cool if I could find somebody who's like coming up with their own unique artistic style and wants to get into comics, but maybe they, have no idea about the story. And maybe that's what I could do. I could like just write the story and come up with like the, the story, but like the plots and everything like that.
And that's a big project. It'd be great to have a partner,
yeah, for sure.
Whether they're a writing partner or like a graphic illustrator.
Because, just being reasonable, like, I still have time. I could practice every day and like, there are like a lot of like, there's this one manga called Mob Psycho. It's not, most of it is like pencil drawings, it looks like, But then even in that, there are these scenes where it's like, whoa, it's like very like, good, 3D and like there's depth to it, whatever. Like it's, so those people, even them, they still know how to draw. Like they're still really good artists. So maybe thinking of something like that, maybe picking a specific like thing that I want to be good at in art and then like compromising all the other parts, But I think I'm too much of a perfectionist. I would want to like make everything good and have it be.
Computer tech, I mean, it's not just going to be for the Japanese anime scene. It'll make it easier for anyone sitting at home to make their own anime. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Because then you can focus on the elements that make it special to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be such a pro on everything. It's got to be exhausting, of course, to figure out how to become an illustrator, but then to do motion illustration, like animation.
Right, and that's a whole other animal.
That's a whole other animal, which it'd be great if you can come up with like a concept and then maybe you design like a 3D figure in Blender or some computer program, and then use the animation software can make it run for you, make it do this, make it do that.
True, yeah.
You don't have to get good at the 30 frames a second, right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, I think lately comics have just been a little more appealing to me. But then sometimes, go ahead.
Manga or just like other comics?
Manga. Yeah, sorry, manga.
Say we got to get you on Matt's show, Modern Mythology. Shout out Modern Mythology.
Yeah, have me on, Matt. But like, I mean, I'm trying to think of like what's my favorite. I guess my favorite manga is this one called Doro Hedoro, which I guess in Japanese means like mud sludge or something. It like doesn't make sense. They said, but like it's about like it's fantasy again. It's about this guy who wakes up, doesn't remember who he is, and he has like a lizard head, and then. It's like weird shit, like he'll bite people's heads and then there's a man that comes out of his like throat and will say like, you're not the one or you are the one, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's just this mystery of him trying to figure out like, who is this person in my mouth? Who am I? Blah, blah, blah. But that one's really cool. The drawing's like really like kind of, I hate to say gritty, but like kind of dirty, you know what I mean? It's like a very like, almost like charcoal, like drawing almost, but it's really cool. But then the issue with that is like sometimes it's hard to like make out like what's happening. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's my favorite manga. But
do they come out like monthly? Is this like I don't even know how they're sequenced.
So usually,
let me check the time too. While you're,
yeah.
Tell me this. I'm curious.
Should I keep talking now? Or wait? Yeah. So like on the Shonen Jump app that I have, that one they come out like of Dragon Ball. Their sequel is Dragon Ball Super. So that comes out monthly. Every month they come out with a new chapter. But like that one, Doro Hedoro, like it's not even on the Shonen Jump app. So I just bought like the volumes, like you can buy them on Amazon. So I just bought the actual volumes. And I was really happy. You can't buy the final volume anywhere anymore. it's like out of print. So I got lucky and I was able to get like the fine volume. You can still buy it on like Kindle or whatever, but it's nice to have, the physical copy.
I feel like a lot of things that I've gotten into in my life, it's because I bought like a volume, like a whole collection of it, the greatest hits. Like they kind of do some of the work and parsing through some of the issues of it, right? Like, and they just let you kind of binge it. It's kind of like lends itself to binge culture. Do you know if there's any like YouTubers? I mentioned podcasts, but are there any like YouTube anime thought leaders? So to speak?
I don't know any like strictly by name, but there's like a lot of like people who are strictly like anime like experts, like, and specific to one. Like actually, there's this one channel. It's VinnyTube, I think. Shout out VinnyTube. He watches so much anime. He watches like every anime show out there, and he does like videos like here's the top 10 like fight scenes of the year, or top 10 like realistic fight scenes, or top 10 fantasy scenes, top 10 magical power scenes. Yeah, those are really cool.
Again, does the work for you.
Yeah,
parses through stuff.
And then there's people who do manga. They're like, oh, I have this manga, like this is pretty cool, blah blah. It's about this, which is nice if I want to find out about a manga. But yeah, I haven't really ventured into that area yet.
Just let me ask you. You've obviously seen some Marvel stuff, right? Like, you're not averse to like Western superhero comic culture necessarily. Uh-huh. Do you like it?
So it's funny
because I feel like guys who are into like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman don't necessarily like anime in manga. I'm sure there's tons of people that love both, of course, but I feel like it's kind of like an either or thing.
It is.
What is with that?
It's like Star Trek and Star Wars. It's like that whole thing. Like pick a side.
Is it like that?
I don't really know. Anime? Again, I don't really. When I was a kid, like nobody watched anime. None of my classmates, nobody. Like, and then like now, like, when I had my job at Target, like all of my coworkers, like, or, all the younger ones who were like, maybe like a couple, like 4 or 5 years younger than me. Yeah, I watched this show. I watched that show. That show's pretty cool. I like this one, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh shit, cool. Okay. Cause sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just shut up about it. Cause I watch all of these shows, but they're the same watching them.
It's big now. Yeah. It's different. Austin likes it,
Yeah.
You see, you see on Netflix.
Yeah.
In Adult Swim, right?
And that's the thing too, is like, back then, you physically had to go buy it, and you couldn't watch it online.
And to find that mythical VHS tape.
Yeah. But I do like Marvel stuff, but I would say, I'm not like, New Avengers, fuck yeah. I'm not like, I don't get like super amped about it, but I'm like, I'll go watch that,
What's the difference between the way anime does it and the way like Marvel does it? Do you know? People at home are screaming right now.
Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
I don't know. I think...
well, one's good, obviously.
That's a great question, man. I really, I haven't put too much thought into it, but, I don't know. I think, too, it's just like, it's kind of a cliche thing of like, for me, like Americans just loving Japanese culture, or like that scene in Parks and Rec where they go over to Jam's house and he's like wearing the fucking kimono and he's got the samurai swords up and everything, the koi fish, it's just like that stupid appropriation of Japanese culture,
Yeah,
but right. I am like fascinated with Japanese culture, and like ever since I was a kid, like just, yeah.
Well, there are Eastbound and Down. They do that too, where he has like ninja stars. You mentioned the kimono. I mean, the U.S.
For the record, I don't have any of that stuff. Not yet, at least. We'll see. Still time.
Just you're watching television in Japanese. It's weird because some of that stuff, it does feel like, oh, this is you mentioned appropriation, right? But it's like a beautiful thing when you like fall in love with this whole other culture, or this whole like method of storytelling. And obviously, it just gets funky when it feels like, oh, every piece of furniture in your house is from this. All your decorations on your walls are from this. Like,
you sit on the floor when you eat. Like all that. Yeah.
But the U.S. and Japan has always had like a special relationship, at least looking relative to Asia, because everything post World War II. To my understanding,
right.
There was a lot of direct planning there in terms of like how the economies were structured, and obviously that lended itself to trading and of course production over time. Japan formerly making a lot of the stuff, still making a lot of the stuff that's made. These cameras we're using, this camera is Japanese.
Nice.
cars, all that.
Are they anime
Toyota.
cameras or?
I should just put a color swatch over this episode, like a LUT that makes it look like this is a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like I should just cartoon this whole podcast,
or at least just this part. Yeah. But I was gonna say, I think you asked me like, right, why do I prefer anime over Marvel, or
Yeah.
And I think really, I guess it boils down to like a lot of the anime I like is that's my favorite. Martial arts anime is my favorite. But then I feel like there's a difference between like the way, like, X-Men, for example, I used to watch that as a kid, like the cartoon. And I mean, that's cool to me because each of them have their own unique powers, but like, I think, Dragon Ball, I like it because of their chi blast or whatever, and other shows where they literally like shoot out like their energy at people or whatever. That stuff is like super cool to me. And I feel like you don't see too much of that in like Marvel stuff.
You gonna dog Cyclops that? He doesn't have laser beams coming out of his eyes?
But that's an interesting question. I guess I never really thought of it, but like, because I do like it, but I'm not like, oh, let me go watch the new like Batman cartoon or whatever.
You're bringing up an interesting thing that like we haven't seen. I mean, a lot of anime movies, because all they make now, a lot of what they make now, are these superhero movies, right? And it's been so proven. It's been so successful.
Yeah.
Like, why haven't we seen more of that? Why hasn't anime like kind of gotten to the big screen?
I mean, I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
It's ignorant of me to say, but I think it's because America just has the better technology for it. Or I feel like they have to have like patents on their type of technology or what they use. Or I don't, because that's the only reason, because I sometimes get really upset that it's like, why is this live action anime movie so bad? Like, it's just like, and I guess too, it's like, I'm thinking right now in particular this one called Bleach. That was just like, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, it looks super fake, and like,
it drives me nuts though. The Simpsons, I think it still is animated in Korea too. So it's like a lot of pioneering animation is in Asia. So I don't even get this. Yeah. Although I guess this is confused if we're talking about computer generated versus hand drawn.
Yeah.
You start
I don't know.
Mix different industries, and definitely it's some sort of economic thing. But there's something there. Maybe, honestly, maybe over the next couple of years, we're just going to see tons of anime movies come out. Like, this is about to happen. We're foretelling us. The fact that we kind of like this whole episode has been like dedicated to anime. Like, this is part of the leading edge of how it's about to take its next step into dominating American culture.
This video is going to get so many views just because of that anime.
Well, this can be the springboard for a Kickstarter that leads to an anime.
Are we going to start my own anime podcast?
That was episode 1. Thank you for joining us for. What would be a good name for an anime podcast?
This is the first Animaniac, but spelled with an E, because Animaniacs is right. That's the cartoon, right? The Animaniacs. Yeah.
Actually, I just realized that name. It was Warner Brothers. They have animation. Is that what it is? It's like we're a maniac for animation. Warner Brothers Animation.
Because honestly, I feel like I should know. I thought I looked it up one time, but in Japanese it would be anime, right? Anime, but we just say anime. Right? So I don't know if it is a Japanese word or if it's just like a stylized like way of shortening animation. But I should look that up later.
Anime Day.
Animayhem. Yeah.
It's possible.
Uh-huh.
It's possible. Do you think you would have that angle where you're talking about what you love about it? Or would you... Because, some podcasts only exist to complain about other things.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they just are constantly tearing down other culture. Like, you seem to have, like... we actually talked about something you didn't like about Murder Mystery, but then we ended up largely talking about what you did like about anime, right?
Should we talk about what I don't like about some of those animes? Or but no, I think I would talk about, like, it would probably be just like a generic, like, oh, these are my favorite parts of this or whatever. And like, now like we have the ability to watch shows that air in Japan, like immediately when they air, or, like an hour after they air.
Yeah.
So like that might be kind of cool to like pick parts from like the latest episode of this show or whatever, Or like, for example, there's this show that I'm watching now where I looked up at the screenshot of it, you know, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of bad. Like the drawings look kind of bad and it looks kind of stupid. So then that's actually one that I watched in English at first. And then I was like, okay, I really like this. I went back and watched it again in Japanese, watched it all the way through. And it's actually like a very good show. It has fights scenes that are really good, emotional scenes that are great, and like a great storyline. You know what I mean? So like I think something like that, I would specifically pick out like, oh, in this episode this happened, blah blah blah. And I think like I would still probably try and pick out something that I didn't like or something that could be improved on. You know?
Yeah, it's not like you can't bring up
yeah
deltas, things you want to change.
Yeah, because like you know the common thing in Dragon Ball that people is like, you know, specifically the anime is like there's the joke that like, you know, it's like, oh, on this episode like Goku powers up, and it's like on the next episode, it's like it takes fucking forever to power up, and like, you know, like just all filler of them like raising their energy and shit like that, you know.
It's all hype. So, it's all just like trying to get you amped up.
Yeah.
By watching him turn more golden, right?
Yep.
His energy ball just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. It's actually very funny.
Eventually, it's just like an energy orb the size of Earth, and he's just like in the middle of the whole thing.
And then now time to condense it, so I can shoot it out. It's like stupid shit like that they do. Spend all this time gathering the energy. Now you have to condense it so you can use it the right way.
Dude, you know what?
5 episodes.
This is it. We're at the end of the podcast. We should wrap up. But you know what? Something we should do is we should shoot photos for like the thumbnail photo. We should like Photoshop like you doing like the powering up thing. Or like I don't know if you know the poses or whatever. We can both do it.
I was gonna say there's this one move that the main character in Dragon Ball does. It's called the Spirit Bomb in English. They call it the Spirit Bomb, and I feel like in the anime he uses that every fucking villain. Every time, and it's almost like, oh my god, come on, think of a new move. But he just does this. He'll stand there and just gather energy. He's like, trees, animals, people, lend me your spirit energy. And then he's just like, I need more time, you know. And then he's like getting kicked sometimes, like still trying to hold the energy. It's hilarious.
Maybe that should be the photo. It'll just we'll do you doing the spirit bomb thing. We'll shoot it dead on to make sure we get it. But thank you for coming on, man. It was good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me, man. This is great. Yeah.
I learned a lot about, I mean, I knew you loved anime, but like I learned a lot about the ins and outs. And you might even get me watching some of it at some point. All right. Cool. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.